Hi, this is Cari Kelemen, and I'm back with Jack today. Jack, what is going on with the Antifa?
Well, they're going to jail as far as the latest update is. Actually, we got one of them here in D.C. who actually assaulted me yesterday at an Antifa event, and he has his first hearing, his arraignment, just in a few hours here down in Washington D.C. with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Did he spend the night in jail?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Possibly though. Because when you do commit an act like that in the city of D.C., it goes to federal level. It's not like the local level here. That's a federal crime.
Oh, is it because it's in D.C.?
Right.
So if he had done this in Dallas, it would have just been a local thing?
Yeah, it may have just been a local thing, but because we're in D.C., now the U.S. Attorney's involved. So I actually just got off the phone with them. They appraised me of my rights. They asked if I wanted to go to the hearing. I said, I don't want to go to the hearing today, but if it does go to trial and I need to come down and give testimony, I'm more than happy to do that. I provided video, but we should probably explain for your viewers, what exactly happened. So yesterday, very in the way that I do when I hear about something going on in D.C. or in the area, I hop in the car, I bring my camera, and I go down and check it out. Right, that's kind of my shtick. And so this time it was Antifa holding what they called a block party. It wasn't much of a party, so they didn't even have any food or music or anything.
They had Pepsi though, didn't they?
Well, I wanted to go interview them to talk about violence in politics, right, with Berkeley and the deplorable and the inauguration. And I said, I thought as a peace offering, I could hand them a Pepsi, and I could give them a Pepsi, and that would be a way to say, like, hey, I know you guys are on your side, I'm on my side, but maybe we can share a Pepsi and we can talk about things. Well,
okay, for people that don't know, Jack, how does Pepsi fit in with all this Antifa stuff?
Well, because Pepsi just did like an Antifa video, Black Lives Matter resistance video with Kendall Jenner, showing that Pepsi was like the drink of choice of the anarchist movement, anti-Trump movement in the country, which was a few people were very, very triggered by it. It was pulled immediately. Kendall Jenner actually released a statement to reporters that her spokesman released a statement to reporters that you are not to ask Kendall about the Pepsi ad. You will not speak this.
Yes.
Speak of Pepsi in
Great
Kendall's
branding, Pepsi.
Yeah, great brand. So I said, well, if you guys like the Pepsi, I'll bring you Pepsi. So I brought him a Pepsi, and I guess they lied. Pepsi lied to me. It did not work. And after a few minutes at the event, I was assaulted by one of them. I have the whole video on camera. It's on my Twitter account. It's been kind of going around today, and you can see it. Not only did I get assaulted, but what's interesting is they had actually taken screen grabs of my Twitter account of my name and face and posted it to their account saying, hey, come down to see the fascist. So this was actually premeditated.
Yes,
this was actually a premeditated thing where they were urging people to come down to see the fascist, Jack Posobiec, and as they put it. And then so somebody came down, and this guy, I'm not even really, I'm filming, I'm talking to people, and I hear somebody pull up and you go, where's the Nazi? Where's the Nazi? And suddenly all these fingers are pointing at me saying, there's the Nazi, there's the Nazi. And he just walks over and goes to punch. Interestingly enough, he doesn't go to punch me in the face. He goes to punch my camera. He goes to punch the fact that I'm providing evidence and a platform to this, that he's trying to get rid of that rather than actually hurt me, okay?
Right.
So he's the not. So there's police across the street, they immediately come over, apprehend him, and then as soon as they did, Antifa runs over and say, I assaulted him. You can see them all on the street, and you can even see it on the video. They say, I assaulted. They immediately go right into it's their George Soros training. They go to these training camps by George Soros to say, and they actually we've got video now of them. They have weapons camps where they're doing weapons training.
Oh, great, lovely.
Guns, going shooting, assault rifles. I have no idea how many caches of stuff they have here in the DC area, but but it's getting bad, and they're escalating things. So their training kicks in. Their George Soros training. He did it. The Nazi did it, and they said he called him an N-word, and he was inciting, and he was provoking, and this was self-defense. And I'm sitting there like, I have this on video, like right here. See, the guy took a sucker punch at me, but see, he was a featherweight. So I didn't even drop my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst thing
I'm glad your phone's all right.
He bruised my wrist, so I've got this thing. For a couple of days.
Ow! Sorry about that.
It's nothing.
It's the price. It's the price of real news.
But he was a featherweight. You got to sound a heavyweight if you're going through Jack Posobiec. That's all I got to say.
Okay, so here's my question. I see this on your timeline yesterday, and you're saying I'm going to go talk to the Antifa, and I say unmask them, and you said that they're not wearing masks. Well, how do you know they're Antifa? I mean, isn't that their Party City costume? You know, the black,
Yeah, so this was an official event sponsored by Antifa DC on the Antifa DC Facebook page. You can go see it right there at Antifa DC. They were all wearing that like double flag. It's the communist flag and an anarchist flag is their like symbol.
Okay.
And that comes from Trotsky. They were founded by Trotsky in the 20s as the International Combat Wing of the Communist Party. So they were self-identifying as Antifa, handing out Antifa flyers, and there were actually about 3 or 4 of them who were wearing masks. Which I asked them. I said, why are you guys being cowards? Why don't you take the masks off? And they said, well, you guys are going to dox us. And I said, what do you mean dox you? This isn't the internet. This is real life. This is
you're dox somebody right there, in public.
And I'm standing right here. Like I don't need to dox you. We're right here.
I think they're confused.
This is reality.
Yeah, they're confused with virtual versus real.
Yeah, it's because it's for so many of these people. It starts out with LARPing. You know the live action role playing. They're LARPing as thinking they're this resistance movement or something. But they know at one point that there actually is repercussions for the crimes that they're committing, and that's what we saw happened with the assailant who was arrested for assaulting.
Do you think it surprised him? Do you think it surprised him that immediately 2 cops come across the street and put cuffs on him for hitting you?
He seemed it. He kind of screams, what the F, and it seemed like that. Why would the police do that? The police are there to protect my rights. The police, or the police are there that are oppressing me for expressing myself.
I think he was thinking he was in Berkeley and not in D.C.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how the Berkeley stuff goes, and we're actually, Ann Coulter is going to be speaking out there this week, and my friend Faith Goldie is going to cover it, and I just really hope they're bringing their own security, and they should. They should, because the Berkeley PD, it seems, is not been taken on this role of securing the people and the public safety of their area.
Not only that, Jack, it looks like some of the Berkeley PD might be participating in it. If you go to Thomas Wicker's Twitter account, he's put together some videos where he's identified police ammunition being used against Trump supporters in Berkeley. It's pretty damning evidence.
Yeah, I've seen his video. He's talking about the stun grenades. We call them flashbangs.
And the M80, like the little firecracker?
Well, yeah, the M80s is what some of the Antifa guys had. And Joey Salads has a video of this, too, of them actually using M80s. But what Thomas Wichter points out is that there definitely are cops shooting off flashbangs. And I appreciate his video, and he did a very good job of explaining the difference. But he does take kind of a leap, I think, in saying that this was done to incite a riot. Yeah. To me, it just looks like cops that were poorly trained, that aren't using the right tactics for the right situation.
Regardless, the Berkeley PD needs. Regardless, they need to be either retrained or something, because they are not protecting the rights of people that are expressing their free speech rights either. They're standing down, and we saw this with Milo when he spoke at Berkeley. I mean, people were getting hit over the head with sticks and clubs, and there are Berkeley PD just watching it. We saw it in San Jose when Trump had a rally there last year, how they were just passive in the face of Trump supporters getting run down, hit, smacked, eggs in their face, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's definitely the very least.
It's funny with Berkeley, they've got so they banned a gay speaker, and now they're banning a woman. I guess that just means they're homophobic and misogynistic out in Berkeley, right?
You know what, Jack? Everything's backwards, because they called you the fastest. Right. They call themselves anti-fascist. That is 180 degrees opposite. absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are the ones inciting and using violence against us. We've not. They asked me. They said, "What party are you registered? How are you?" I said, "I'm a registered Republican." What is that? What does that matter?
Yeah.
I'm here talking to you on the street. You're a Nazi. Why do you say that?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Yeah.
And it's there. I was actually talking to one of the officers. One of the George Washington University has its own police, and I was talking to him afterwards, and I was saying how, and he pointed out as well that it's with groups like this, they get their emotions start running very high, and they get into this group think of you're either in my group or you're against my group. So you're either a member of Antifa or you're a Nazi. And then there's no, in between, there's no gray area. And that's what groupthink does.
Right.
And that's what groups like Antifa actually strive for, is putting those labels on everybody. So then not only can you, not only can you then feel that solidarity, I guess, that they're looking for, but then anybody who's against them, and you can go look at any of their websites, they put out memes talking about murdering Trump supporters, stabbing people that are wearing MAGA hats with a little, Pepe pin, beating them in the streets. It's very, very violent imagery. And I've seen, believe me, I've seen a lot of memes in the last 2 years, and I don't really remember Trump supporters talking about killing people on the left, and that is a bridge where that comes from that underpinning of these people come from the Joseph Stalin version of politics. That's the world they come from. So violence is what the left will always revert to because they can't win the argument any other way.
Right. Well, I have to say, one of the best weapons I've seen used against these guys is the same thing that guy did. I think it was in Alabama, where he was dressed like a carrot, and there was some kind of Antifa gathering, and he was dressed in orange. He had green on his head like a carrot, and it says, "I don't care at all about your outrage." And there was a video of this, and they didn't know how to react. He was completely ridiculing him, and the crowd,
they're calling him based carrot man.
And the crowd went with the carrot guy because he was funny. He's out there dancing around. He's like a carrot, and the crowd starts chanting "carrot, carrot." I mean, it was fantastic. This is the way you deal with them. You just point at them and laugh at them. They have no defense against that. If you point and laugh,
and this is something where the right and the Republican Party and conservatives have gotten it wrong over so many years. We used to try to do this thing of saying like, "Oh, we're not racist. Look at this." Or, "Oh, you guys are the real racists." And we tried to meet them intellectually. We tried to, explain. But these people can't be explained to. You've just got to use mockery. You've got to use humor. You've got to use comedy and completely diffuse the situation. Plus, to the third person that's watching everything that's going on, who are they going to side with? The one that's fighting people in the streets, or the one who's being happy, humorous, and fun?
Absolutely, and that's exactly the way this crowd of college kids responded. They went with the guy who was having fun, not the people who were angry. We're tired of angry. At least I am.
That's who they are. They wake up outraged. They wake up looking for something to be outraged, and that's why they call everybody a Nazi, because they know there aren't any real Nazis anymore. But there haven't been since 1945. But we've got to go be against something. So you must be a Nazi.
Got to go be against something. That sums it up absolutely perfectly. Okay, real quick, switching to the elections that happened yesterday in France.
Le
Pen. What do you see happening? The elections on May 7th, so not very long away. What do you see happening, Jack? What are Le Pen's chances?
They're good, but you've also got to figure that, France is right there next to Brussels. Brussels is the heart, the beating dark heart of the EU. They know that with Europe, with the UK already gone, and France looking like it's leaving the EU if she's elected, that if she wins, it's over for them. So they know that this is the last ditch effort of the EU. So they're going to throw everything they have against her. They're going to use every dirty trick against her. Just today, there's news coming out at Zero Hedge that there were something like 50 towns that didn't even record a single vote for Le Pen. All this different stuff coming in there, and plus, I was digging into a little about the election in France and how they do it. And France has these things called overseas constituencies.
Yeah, what is that?
Because I was looking at pictures and stuff, and I saw here are all the people voting for the French election in Eritrea. Here are all the people voting for the French election in Lebanon, in Syria.
I saw one in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon, Tokyo. And I was like, wait a minute, that seems a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Why are there voting lines for the French election in other countries?
That just has fraud written all over it.
Yeah, they opened it up in 2010 to these what they call international constituencies, and you can actually live anywhere in the world. And if you qualify as a French voter, which basically it doesn't take very much, all you have to do is register.
Wait, you can qualify as a French voter simply by registering?
You can register, and if you have some kind of like fake ID or something, they'll just take it. Oh my
gosh, this is bad news.
And then we saw 500,000 extra ballots getting sent to London.
Yes.
For the French election, like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to send all those extra ballots out there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh gosh, this is sounding terribly familiar in very bad ways. They don't have, Jack, kind of the same kind of conservative new media in France that we've enjoyed here, do we? I mean, I've heard recently that Zuckerberg and Facebook had censored 30,000 Facebook accounts of the French who supported Le Pen. Do you think she, in the face of that, do you think that she still stands a chance without that kind of movement that helped Trump get to office?
Well, look at it this way. I mean, she's been able to get this far even without any organic French
that's
independent
true.
press.
That's a great way of looking at it.
So she's doing very great on her own. She's having the massive rallies, the same kind of images that we saw from Trump. We're seeing at Le Pen rallies, where they're waving French flags and they're singing La Marseillaise.
Yep.
And they're really seeing a new nationalism, as they're calling it, this rebirth of patriotism for France that I really think is going to be interesting. So what's good though to see in France is that both establishment candidates lost. Both of the main establishment parties went down in flames. So there's a real dichotomy now in saying like this is almost like Trump versus Sanders, if it had been like that.
Oh, real? Okay, that's a great way. I appreciate that framing.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, good.
It's almost like Trump versus Sanders. So you can say, look, if you want to be open borders and socialism and all that stuff, then you can go there, or if you want to just be France, then you can go with Marine Le Pen. So it's not something where like because some of these other candidates were kind of like they called them center right and they were sort of kind of with her on like the economics but not really with her on the immigration. So it would have been harder to say what you want. Well, now there's a big split between the two. Interesting.
I think I would point this out in our own elections that what Trump did was he tapped into a love of country that was already there. He didn't create it. It was there, and he tapped into it, and he brought it to the surface. If she can do the same thing in France, just a love of country, a love of their culture, a love of their heritage, if she can tap into that and bring it to the surface, I really hope it and pray that she has a chance.
I think she does, and I think she has all the opportunity to do it. We've got to keep the pressure on. Rebel Media actually has a French language version out of Quebec. We call it Le Rebelle.
Great.
Le Rebelle, and so we've got our man on the ground from Quebec over in France working on that to get some of that out to the French language stuff. But it's tough because you're only one voice, as you said, without any of the independence. So that's why we got to keep this fight going on Twitter and social media and Facebook and everything else, and let people know that if you don't have independent voices like Cari Kelemen, independent voices like Jack Posobiec out there, that's what can happen to your country because you're not going to have any truth coming out, and they're going to and to the point in France, we have Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, had that horrible comment where he said terrorism is just a way of life now, right? In big cities. Well, the candidate running for president against Le Pen, he actually just recently said terrorism is going to be a way of life in France for years to come.
Well, that's a great selling point.
So if you want more of that, if you want more like the truck attack in Nice, if you want more like the Bataclan attacks in Paris, if you want more of this stuff going on, then you can go ahead and vote for him. If you want someone who's actually going to fight for France, you can vote for Le Pen. So she doesn't. She has the perfect framing right there set up for it.
I hope so. And you brought up the Bataclan. I remember right after that happened, didn't they apprehend several of those guys in Brussels?
Oh yeah, and that's what they'll do, because the Brussels security infrastructure isn't quite as good as the French. The French intelligence service is actually quite good, but the problem is, because they have open borders, you can plan an attack in Brussels, which is only about a 2-hour drive from Paris.
Yeah.
Bring everything in there, conduct your attack, and there isn't much that that the French can do about it.
That's chilling. That's awful. Well, I hope that Le Pen pulls it out. We'll wait and see. She's got a short time, just a few days, to get this together. I'm hopeful. Are you hopeful?
I'm hopeful too. I said the other day, though, that France is kind of like that friend of yours that always makes bad decisions, and now you're just really, really hoping that they can pull their head out of where before they hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like,
no. I loved your tweet that said, "Friends don't let friends do open borders."
Yeah, exactly. It's like France, we love you, but come on.
Yeah, I know.
This couldn't be more simple, but they've lived under so much propaganda. They've lived under so much, conditioning to say we have to let the world in, we have to open our borders, we have to help people, that it's hard. It's hard to get people to wake up and say, hey, we need to take care of ourselves first before we look at anybody else.
Well, there's a very deep-rooted sense of self-preservation that people are naturally born with, and I'm hoping that just kicks in, cuts through the propaganda, and they realize it's do or die here. We either stay France or we're something else completely. Our culture, our everything, it's different.
And Le Pen gets that. I loved her quote when she said, France is not the burqa, France is Brigitte Bardot.
I know. I love that. I love that.
It's perfect.
She's amazing. The confidence in that woman, that stride in heels. I mean, she is. And
don't forget, even though depending on how this goes, and I think she'll do well. I think she'll do very well in the election. But even if it doesn't go the way we want, we've also got her niece, Marianne Le Pen.
Yes.
Who's now coming up. She's just in her 30s now, but she's already a member of parliament, and she is out there just beating the globalists down rhetorically.
Well, either way, globalism is on the defense. I mean,
exactly.
If they pull out a win here and Le Pen goes down, things stay the same. So that's not really advancing globalism. They're on the defense. If Le Pen wins, they're in deep, deep, deep trouble. So they're definitely on the defense here. So anyway, Jack, anything else you want to add before we take off?
I just wanted to say remind everybody that you can follow my work at Rebel Media on YouTube. Appreciate everyone's support. Appreciate Cari Kelemen's support over the years. Keep following her. She has amazing interviews. Probably one of the best interviewers in new media. That's why she consistently has great guests and does great shows. Well, thank you, Jack. Rebel Media, and I'm on YouTube as Cari Kelemen and on Twitter as Kelemen Cari. So thanks again for your time today. Always appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much, Cari. All right, talk to you later.